They said whoever slept with Madam Jojo never remained the same. Some went mad. Some disappeared. Some became rich for a moment, then lost everything, including their minds. But Ken didn't believe any of that. Not until the night he woke up beside her, crying without knowing why. My people, don't move an inch. This story will shock you from beginning to end. This is how a young man with a bright future allowed hunger for wealth to drag him into a widow's darkness, and how he escaped with his life, but never became whole again. Ken was handsome, tall, charming, the kind of man women turned twice to look at. But life didn't care about his fine face. He worked at a logistics company in Lagos, a job that drained him. Every day he returned home to Mira, his wife, smelling like sweat and frustration. Mira cooked. Mira prayed. Mira loved him. But Ken loved money more. Mira said softly, "Kenny, you didn't touch your food. Are you okay?" Ken snapping, "Is food my problem? Mira, I am tired of this poverty. How long will we keep managing?" She moved closer, rubbing his shoulders. "We'll grow, my love. We'll rise together." He brushed her hand away. "Together? Mira, you don't understand. Other men my age are driving cars, building houses, living big. But look at me. I'm still taking keek." Her eyes filled. But Ken didn't care. He slept angry. He woke up angry. And life kept pushing him deeper into frustration. Then came the day everything changed. Ken was delivering a package to Orchid Estate, a place so expensive the air smelled different. He walked in and saw her. Madam Jojo, 40s, curvy like a dangerous blessing, skin glowing like fresh honey, eyes sharp, like a woman who had seen death and defeated it. She stepped out of her black Range Rover, diamonds singing on her wrist. Madam Jojo smiling. "Fine boy, is that for me?" Ken blinked. Yes, ma. Delivery." She studied him. Slowly. Fully. Like she was reading his soul. "You're too handsome to be carrying boxes. What's your name?" He replied. "Ken, ma. Ken." She tasted the name with her tongue. "You'll come inside and help me with something." It wasn't a request. It was an instruction. He followed. Inside her mansion, perfume and power filled the air. She walked ahead, hips speaking their own language. Ken in his mind. God, this woman is dangerous. But danger was sweet. Sweet like money. And Ken's hunger grew. Madam Jojo offered him juice. Offered him a seat. Offered him her smile. Then she began to talk. Her voice was honey mixed with fire. "Do you know I wasn't always like this? People think I was born rich. But I was suffering once." She pointed to a framed picture on the wall. Her and a man. Skinny, tired, poor. That was my late husband. We were struggling together. Selling akara. Washing clothes for neighbors. Suffering, until the night poverty killed him. Ken swallowed. "I'm sorry, ma." Madam Jojo laughed bitterly. "Don't be. I buried him with my hands. But after his death, I refused to suffer again." She leaned closer. "My friend, Madam Bisi, showed me another path. A path of wealth. But everything sweet has a price." Ken didn't blink. "What price?" She smiled slowly. Too slowly. "Men." Ken's heart skipped. Then she said, "Not all men. Only young, ambitious ones. Their energy, their hunger, feeds the ritual." Ken shifted in his seat. "Madam Jojo. But don't worry. Not everyone dies." She whispered. "Some just lose their minds." A cold wind touched Ken's neck. But Jojo leaned even closer. "I like you, Ken. You're special. And if you stay close to me, you'll never suffer again." His breath caught. Money, luxury, freedom, all in her eyes. Ken should have run, but he's desperate for money. That night, Mira prepared his favorite meal. She waited. She called. She texted. Nothing. Ken returned past midnight, smelling of Jojo's perfume. Mira asked. Kenny, where have you been? I was worried. Ken said angrily. Please don't start. Mira. Don't start. Ken yelling. I said don't start. She froze. Tears rolled. Kenny, this isn't you. He ignored her. Entered the bedroom. Slammed the door. Mira cried into her palms. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside Ken's heart, a new darkness opened. And somewhere across town, Madam Jojo lit a black candle. And whispered, Madam Jojo, welcome, Ken. Your journey has begun. For the next 1 week, Ken found himself thinking about Madam Jojo, more than he thought about his own wife. Her perfume, her mansion, her soft, dangerous smile, even her warning, not everyone dies, some just lose their minds, echoed like a sweet threat. One afternoon, Jojo called him. Her voice was silk wrapped in money. Ken, come to the house. I have something for you. He didn't even think. He took a bike straight to Orchid Estate. When she opened the door, she was wrapped in a silk robe. That did nothing to hide her curves. Her hair was wet, like she just stepped out of a rich woman's bathroom. Ken swallowed hard. Madam Jojo smiling. You're tense. Sit down. She walked behind him, her fingers tracing his shoulders. Why are you suffering, Ken? A fine man like you, struggling in this Lagos heat, when you can be living like a king. Her breath touched his ear. I can take care of you, if you let me. Ken's heart pounded. His morals, gone. His wife's face, forgotten. His hunger, loud. Ken asked, What do you want me to do? She smiled like the devil finally catching a new soul. Just be close to me, and don't ask questions. She slipped an envelope into his hands. 1 million Nigerian nairas cash. Ken's breath choked. For delivering a package? For sitting in her house? For existing? He felt something snap inside him. The part of him that remembered who he used to be. The next day, Madam Jojo took Ken to a secret lounge in Victoria Island. A place only the wealthy entered. Inside, the lights were red. The music was slow. The air smelled like secrets. A woman sat in a corner, sipping wine like blood. Madam Bisi, elegant, beautiful in the kind of way that made you suspicious. Her eyes scanned Ken like a doctor checking a patient. So this is the new one? Madam Jojo smirking. Yes. Fresh. Ambitious. Hungry. Madam Bisi. Hunger is good. It burns well. Ken felt uneasy. Good evening, Ma. Madam Bisi stood up, circled him slowly. Do you know what we do here? Ken shook his head. Madam Bisi. Good. Curiosity is how men die. She tapped his cheek softly. Just follow instructions, and you will enjoy wealth. Ken nodded, though fear crawled up his spine. Before leaving, Madam Bisi whispered to Madam Jojo. This one, his shadow is strong. He will last longer. But the night must come soon. Madam Jojo smiled. Ken didn't understand. Not yet. Back home, Mira was drowning in confusion. Ken didn't touch her, didn't smile, didn't sit with her. Even the way he breathed changed. One night, she sat beside him on the bed. Kenny, please talk to me. What happened to us? We used to dream together. Ken didn't look up from his phone. Mira, I'm busy. Mira held his hand. He snatched it away. Stop disturbing me. Her voice broke. Another woman, right? Ken stood up angrily. Don't start what you can't finish, she sobbed. I'm losing you. And I don't know how to bring you back. But Ken was already walking out of the room. Already walking into Madam Jojo's darkness. Already losing his soul. One Friday night, Jojo called him again. Her voice was deeper, heavier, like something else was speaking through her. Ken, come. It is time. Ken arrived, uneasy but greedy. The house was darker than usual. Black candles burned on the floor. A red cloth covered the bed. Madam Jojo wore a black lace gown. that shimmered like it had its own heartbeat. Ken asked, "Ma, what is happening?" She placed a finger on his lips. "Don't speak." Bisi stepped out of the shadows, holding a small clay pot. Ken's legs weakened. "Madam Bisi, when the candle goes out, the ritual begins." Suddenly, a cold wind blew. The candles flickered. A loud thud echoed, as if someone hit the wall from inside the house. Ken jumped. "What was that?" Madam Bisi smiled calmly. "The ones who came before you." The candles went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Madam Jojo's voice whispered, "Give me your body, and I will give you wealth." Ken felt her lips on his neck, felt her hands pulling him close, felt something else. Something cold, sliding over his skin. His vision blurred. The room spun. A sharp pain stabbed his spine. He screamed. But the darkness swallowed his voice. And everything went silent. Ken woke up on Madam Jojo's massive bed. But something was wrong. His chest was heavy. His breath shaky. His body cold like he slept inside a freezer. He looked around. Jojo was standing by the window, dressed in a red wrapper, her back turned, whispering to no one, "Yes, I've taken him. His shadow belongs to us now." Ken sat up fast. "Ma, who are you talking to?" She turned around slowly, too slowly. Her eyes were darker, like they weren't her own. "You called me Ma before, but from today." She walked toward him, step by step. "Call me Madam." Ken swallowed hard. Something told him to run, but when he tried to stand, his legs shook. His shadow on the floor moved before he did. Ken terrified. "Jesus Christ." Jojo placed her hand on his cheek. "Don't fight it. You wanted wealth, yes? Now wealth wants you too." On his way home, Ken felt lighter and heavier at the same time. His phone rang. Unknown number. He picked. Silence. Then a whisper. "Ken, we see you." He threw the phone. Walking home, he noticed something else. His shadow was facing the wrong direction. Even though he walked forward, the shadow leaned backward, as if it wanted to return to Jojo's house. He blinked. Gone. Back to normal. Or maybe he was the one no longer normal. When Ken entered the house, Mira felt it instantly. A coldness. Not from the evening breeze. From him. He went straight to the mirror, touching his chest and breathing like a hunted animal. "Mira. Kenny. I've been calling you all night. Where did you?" Ken grabbed her shoulders suddenly. Too hard. Too tight. His voice shaking. "Mira. Mira, I think something is wrong with me." She looked into his eyes, and what she saw made her step back. His pupils widened unnaturally. His lips trembled. His hands shook. "Kenny, what happened? Talk to me." Ken broke down. "I don't know. I keep hearing voices. I can't sleep. When I close my eyes I see a woman in red. And someone else." Mira asked. "Which woman?" "Ken. Madam Jojo." Myra's face drained of color. "What did you do with her, Ken? Tell me the truth." Ken collapsed on the chair. "I think she used me. I think she took something from me. Mira, I think I'm dying." Mira held his face. "No. No, you're not dying. You're going to fight this. Where is this woman's house?" Ken shook his head violently. "No. You can't go there. She's dangerous. And she's not alone." Mira felt her heart drop. Not alone? What did that even mean? But one thing became clear. She was losing her husband. To something not human. The next morning, Mira did something nobody expected. She went to see Madam Jojo. Her heart pounded like a talking drum. Her palms sweaty. Her legs shaking. But she went. When Jojo opened the gate, she smiled wickedly. "Mira. Ken told me about you. You're prettier than I thought." Mira swallowed her fear. "Leave my husband alone." Madam Jojo laughed. Not a normal laugh. A laugh that echoed. as if another voice was laughing with her. Your husband? She smirked. Oh sweetheart, he hasn't been yours for a long time. Mira's eyes watered. You bewitched him. Whatever you did to him, remove it. Madam Jojo stepped closer. Too close. Mira, your husband came to me willingly, with his hunger, his greed, his desperation. She circled Mira. If he wanted you, he would have stayed with you. Mira's heart shattered. Please. I'm begging. He's losing his mind. He's hearing things. Seeing things. Whatever you did. Jojo grabbed her chin roughly. Tell him to come back tonight. It's either his mind, or his life. Mira pushed her hand away, shaking. You're evil. Madam Jojo smiled. I'm wealthy. She shut the gate on Mira's face. That night, Ken's condition worsened. He couldn't stay still. He kept clutching his chest. Kept whispering things Mira couldn't understand. At exactly 2 a.m., he screamed and fell to the floor. Mira held him, crying, Kenny, Kenny, please don't die. Ken grabbed her arm with supernatural strength. She wants me back. If I don't go, they'll take my soul. Mira froze. Who? Ken looked at her with tears in his eyes. Madam Jojo, and the spirit she serves. Mira held him close. And in that moment, she made a decision. If Jojo wanted a war, she was going to get one. Ken didn't sleep that night. His eyes stayed wide. Haunted, trembling, frightened like a trapped animal. Every hour, his body jerked violently. Every few minutes, he whispered something Mira couldn't understand. At 3:30 a.m., he suddenly sat upright. Shaking. She's calling me. Mira, she's calling me again. He grabbed her wrist so tightly she winced. If I don't go, she will come here. Mira gasped. Because at that exact moment, their bedroom light flickered, went off, came back on. They heard footsteps in their sitting room, but no door had opened. Mira held Ken tightly. God, please help us. Ken tried to stand. I have to go to her house, or she'll take my soul. Mira wiped her tears. Then I'm going with you. He shook his head violently. No, if you step into that house, she'll kill you. But Mira didn't care. She already tied her scarf, grabbed her Bible, and pulled Ken up. Then let her meet the God I serve. They arrived at Orchid Estate. The security men were gone. The street lights flickered unnaturally. Madam Jojo's mansion stood ahead, dark and awake, like a living thing. Ken's legs shook. He vomited beside the gate, his hands cold like ice. Mira crying, Kenny, breathe, breathe. We will get through this. But before she could finish, the gate opened itself, silently, slowly, inviting them in. Ken tried to run. His body didn't obey. Something was dragging him forward. Mira held him, screaming prayers. Every evil hand touching my husband break. A howl echoed through the compound. And Madam Jojo appeared in the doorway, wearing a black gown, hair wild, eyes black like burnt coal. Welcome, Ken. You came just in time. She stretched her hand toward him. Ken screamed and collapsed. Jojo dragged Ken inside with invisible force. Mira pushed her way in too, but the door slammed shut behind her. Inside the ritual room, candles everywhere, blood marks on the floor, a steaming clay pot in the center. And there, standing beside it, Madam Bisi. She smiled calmly at Mira. You're brave. But bravery can't save him. Mira held her Bible tighter. The God I serve can save him. Bisi laughed. This ritual is older than your prayers. Madam Jojo knelt beside Ken's unconscious body. Her voice became deeper, almost male. With this final offering, his shadow becomes ours. She dipped her hand into the clay pot. Smoke rose. Ken's body jerked violently. Mira screamed. Kenny, wake up, please. Madam Jojo placed her palm on Ken's chest. His eyes opened. But they weren't his eyes. Ken possessed voice. I am coming. Mira fell to her knees, sobbing. Please, God, don't let him die. Just as Jojo lifted the clay pot above, Bisi grabbed her arm. Hard. Madam Jojo hissing. What are you doing? Madam Bisi said. You've taken enough. You're becoming too powerful. This time. The ash belongs to me. Madam Jojo's eyes widened. You dare betray me? Madam Bisi said angrily. You forgot who taught you the ritual. They lunged at each other like wild animals, screaming, clawing, dragging each other across the blood-marked floor. Candles flew. Clay pot shook. The spirit's whispers grew louder. Ken lay on the floor, twitching uncontrollably. Mira crawled to him, crying harder. Kenny, stay with me, please. In their struggle, Madam Jojo and Madam Bisi knocked over the clay pot. It shattered. A white flame burst out. Blinding, violent, angry. A scream filled the room. But it wasn't human. The spirit they served was free. And it was angry. The room shook. Walls cracked. Candles exploded like gunshots. Madam Jojo screamed. No. No. The spirit. The spirit is loose. The flame leapt onto Bisi. She shrieked and fell, convulsing. Madam Jojo tried to run. But the spirit grabbed her shadow. Tore it. She screamed in agony, clutching her chest as though something was being ripped out of her. Her skin grew pale. Her voice cracked. Madam Jojo said weak, terrified. Ken, help me. Please help me. Ken, barely conscious, turned his head. Saw her reaching for him. He whispered one word. No. The spirit dragged Madam Jojo into the flame. Her scream echoed through the entire estate. And then, silence. Dead silence. Madam Jojo was gone. Madam Bisi lay shaking on the floor, half alive. The flame died out. And Ken collapsed into Mira's arms. Mira carried him out of the mansion. Neighbors had gathered. Police arrived. Emergency lights flashed through the estate. But Ken only opened his eyes when the sun began to rise. He looked around, confused. Mira, where are we? She held his face, smiling through tears. You're safe. You're back. Thank you, Jesus. Ken tried to sit up, but his left hand trembled uncontrollably. His voice cracked. Mira, what happened to me? She hugged him tightly. Don't worry. You're alive. That's all that matters. But deep down, she knew he would never be the same. Ken survived the ritual, but a piece of his shadow never returned. Months passed. Ken quit the logistics job. He attended counseling. He prayed. He fought nightmares. Sometimes he woke up crying. Sometimes he heard whispers. Sometimes his shadow flickered strangely at sunset. But Mira stayed. Every day, every night, every tear. And slowly, Ken began to heal. Not fully, but enough to survive. One evening, they walked together by the riverside. Ken held Mira's hand gently. If you didn't fight for me, I would have died. Or worse. Mira smiled softly. You're my husband. I vowed to stay, even in darkness. Ken kissed her forehead. The sun set behind them. Their shadows stretched long across the water. For the first time in months, Ken's shadow didn't move on its own. He smiled. Maybe. I'm finally free. Mira rested her head on his shoulder. You are. And you always will be. The wind blew gently. The sky turned gold. Peace returned. Because in the end, love beat the darkness. And Mira saved the man she loved. If you enjoyed this story, my people, click the video on your screen now. Echoverse Stories has many more tales of greed, love, betrayal, and power. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next story.